So a couple things to point out to you here is the fact that this is just a regular standard shed. There's nothing to attach here or attach to from this wall here. So as the board comes back over here, there's nothing to nail to because there's just this one corner piece. Usually in standard construction there's like this whole built out corner so you can nail to, from either side. So I'll have to fortify that. I'm probably going to go to Home Depot later today and get just a couple of 2x4s to do the corners because they're both like that. But in the meantime I can at least get started. I'm waiting for Home Depot to open, so I'm going to just insulate the ones that I don't need to work around and get those done. It's kind of cold out here this morning, so I'm hoping it's going to warm up a little bit today. But let's get started with the staple gun. This is just a standard, fairly cheap staple gun. This is not the one that they use for arts and crafts. This is the low-end home construction type. So basically to fill it with the staples, there's this little thing here on the end. Sorry, I'm trying to hold the phone and show you, so it's a little hard. But this thing right here, you can kind of see, let's see if I can get it in focus there. See, when you push this in, it releases that little lock. You just kind of push in and pull it down, and then it'll pull up. Let's see if I can do this one-handed since I'm holding. Actually, let's try the phone on there so I can do it this way. Just push in, pull down, and pull out. And that gives me the space where I can put the staples. And I'm just using the standard Arrow staples. These work pretty. Let me see if I can set the phone over here. Yes, isn't that sexy? Birkenstocks with socks. That's me all the way. So this just kind of pushes through and you can pull it out the other end. It is really cold this morning. My fingers are not being real friendly. It is super cold this morning. And you just pull out a staple track. They kind of stick together and you can see they're pretty sharp. These are really short because I'm just using these for the insulation. I'm not using these for major construction or anything. Where I pulled that little plunger out that go right in here, just make sure the teeth are pointing down toward the bottom of the machine. And then you just take this end here, make sure it's going in the same direction as those staples, push it right down in there, and then just push this in, kind of pull it back and push it in, and then push it up, and that thing locks into place there, and it's fully loaded and ready to go. Now, one of the other things you want to keep in mind when you're working with insulation is you want to have a mask. With COVID-19 and all that stuff, masks are pretty limited for home improvement stuff, but simple bandana. I've got some hair ties that go around the ears. I just stuck the bandana through it, just wrap the hair tie around the ear. And I mean, these could go up inside there to make it more, but I kind of like the look, you know what I'm saying? So I just left it hanging down just because it gets too hot for me. So I'm going to have the bandana to protect my breathing so I don't breathe in insulation. I got some nifty shades here that I'll use to protect my eyes, and gloves because this is kind of pokey stuff. Now, some people are very much in the belief system that you should also wear like long sleeves and stuff so you don't get it in your skin. For me personally, I tend to rub my arms on stuff a lot, and I find that if there's fiberglass in the sleeves and I rub it, it like rubs it into my skin. So I tend to go bare armed because it's easier for me to just hose off afterwards, and also not take as much of that fiberglass into my washing machine. So I would not recommend doing this naked though. Just saying. That might not be a pleasant experience either. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started here and open up these rolls. Will expand once you start rolling them. Put it back together and roll it up. All right, ready to open. You can see it's pretty thin right now. I'm already getting anyways, but as it has a chance to expand it, it fills out the whole space. So. Measure. Okay, there's some other. I can do a lot. Okay, got one more work. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out how long this is. This is backwards. This is not how I'm putting it here. I'm trying to figure out how long it is. Okay, right here. I think these are easy to cut with regular scissors. These R13s are really easy to cut with scissors because they're not that thick. When you start working with like R38, it's a little tougher, but for this, on the socks, the Birkenstock socks. Staple gun ready. And these things have these nifty little flaps that come out that you can staple to hold it in place. There are different kind of schools of thought on how to use it. Let me bring the phone over here and show you the two different ways you can do it. So some people are kind of the mindset that you staple to the outside edge. That's usually how I do it. I've had some people complain and say, no, what you're really supposed to do is put it inside the edge of the 2x4 and staple it there so that it doesn't cause any kind of anomalies on the outside edge of this board when you're putting up drywall or any other kind of finishing. So I guess it would depend on what kind of finishing you're going to do, whether you go with the inside or top edge. I've always done it on the top edge. I've never had a problem. These staples are so small, they don't cause any more of an anomaly than, say, a knot in the wood, as far as I'm concerned. Now, if you disagree with me, please feel free to tell me what your school of thought is on this in the comments below the video. I love to hear other people's opinions, ideas, suggestions, and especially I love to hear from knowledgeable people who know a whole lot more about this stuff than I do. Like I said, this is how I've always done it, but you know, that I'm not an expert. I've just been a do-it-yourselfer for a long time. Some of you know that I had shoulder surgery. It's been almost a year ago on my right arm. I tore my biceps and my supraspinatus, if that means anything to anybody. I still don't have full function in my right arm. Pretty hard for me to reach up with it, so I still do a whole lot of stuff. If it's kind of in this area, I'm good to go, but anything I have to reach up, I use my left hand. So just bear with me. And like I said, just because I do it this way doesn't mean you have to do it this way, but this is how I do it on the outside edge. And I just kind of tack it into place in a few places just so I'm not battling it. They fit pretty good. These are built for 16 on center studs, whether they're, whether you're working with the R13 for the 2x4 or say an R19 for a 2x6. And every once in a while I'll have one like that that doesn't quite go in all the way. I just tap it in with a hammer. Which, by the way, I should probably have one of those out here. Whoops! So much for that. I have most of my good tools either up at the cabin or still in Denver, so This is just a little little toy hammer that I use when I hang paintings for shows and stuff. I just carry it because I can carry it in a little bag easily. And I just picked up a little short tape measure just so I have something to measure instead of having to hold the insulation up. But all I need to do for those, let me see if I can hold this with my left hand so I can get it up there all the way. You can kind of see how that staple is sticking out just a little bit. So I'll just use this little itty bitty baby hammer and tie up it flush. And you can't even feel that it's there now. So that's my solution for those. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get some of this done before Home Depot opens up so I can go down and get some 2x4s. I'm actually not going to isolate right here where the vent is. I'm going to leave that on the side as well because I'm going to be putting a vent inside as well. That way it shouldn't be able to breathe. It'll still be inside, it'll still be warmer, but it'll keep it from not breathing the way it should. So, and the inside vent, well, I'll show you the inside vent later. Putting up a little paneling in the she shed this weekend, and I thought it might be a good idea to show you how to mark your wall panels when you're putting them up on the walls, so you know where your studs are in the ceiling, so that when you do the ceiling you know where those are without necessarily having to use a stud finder or, you know, other methods. It's just, this is what I do, so I just thought I'd share it with you. So after you put your insulation and stuff in, when you're putting your panels up, I haven't put the insulation up in the ceiling yet. I want to know where these ceiling joists are. So what I do is I put one nail kind of right in the middle of where it's at, and then off to the left of it, just below it, I put another nail so I know where this left edge is. And that way when I start putting my stuff up, I can see where each of them are by looking for that little pattern of 2. And it really, for me anyways, it works because you have to put your nails every so often, and it makes it kind of hard to tell which one it is. I mean, you can put a mark on the wall too, but for me, I just do it that way and it makes it easier. At least for me.